Today I am shooting a video on how to survive the early stages of skateboarding. And I say survive because a lot of people stop or won't even start because they're worried about risk of injury. And especially as an adult, taking all time off work, all of that sort of thing, a lot of people don't think it's worth it. They'd rather just go take a run and then blow out, a knee joint or something, but hey. And this video is basically designed how to make progress and how to survive the injury stage, because people will also stop if they don't think they're making progress. And I skated a little in high school, and I've started up again now. And I don't tend to get injured too often, and the main reason is you kind of learn how to fall. So I went to the skate park. My brother started, and he didn't skate in high school, so he's starting for the first time, and we were just going on the very simple ramps. Nothing with the kind of curved shape, which will take the board out from underneath you when you're starting, unless you really commit and put your weight in the front foot. And he ended up falling, and it was a very slow fall, and he ended up hurting his shoulder. And I thought that was bizarre, because I will fall at much higher speeds, and it looks very awkward. I run off the board, sometimes stumble, sometimes roll. I'll notice when I fall, I kind of place my hands on the ground and push to the side so that I can then scrape up this side of my body, whatever. But I don't really ever tend to get hurt. The other thing is the way that I practice is a little different, especially considering I'm not very talented. And so yeah, that's what the video's out. I want to start. I'll switch scenes here on OBS by showing you guys like professionals and what this sort of stuff looks like. So they have whole compilations of them falling. And so in that example there, if we go back a split second, you notice how he puts his hand down, but he doesn't stick it straight out. If you stick it straight out and you fall like onto that hand, you're gonna break your wrist or your arm. And he kind of just lets the momentum take him, and he turns the motion into some kind of rolling motion. So if you watch this, he's here, and his hand is pushing this way to help his body roll backwards. And then he just slides. And again, like, this looks like he's having this huge fall and he's actually in a lot of trouble, but really, he doesn't hit the ground with a lot of force. Or watch one more. Yeah, same thing. So that is the exact same thing. Where he's coming here, he realizes that he's messed up here because he's landed and he's probably wheel locked this wheel at the front here. So he uses his hands again to push himself to slide along the ground. He's letting himself roll, and then he just lets himself slide. And so he basically at some point has practiced how to fall. So I'm going to take you through some footage of my brother and I practicing different ways to fall with things running off the board, all sorts. Off the end of this. So yeah, the first clips are us running off the board. And really, you can't really go too wrong with this. It's just when you're going really, really fast, when you put the first foot on the floor, you got to make sure you don't stack, and you just got to run as fast as you can if you're going really fast. Half the time you're going to tilt forward and then like fall anyway, but you've still lost speed. Yeah. Okay, there's some audio on this one. Yeah, and I do tend to do that. I tend to step on the front of the board. I don't really know why. Maybe it stops my other foot from getting like with the grip tape on it still, just kind of carrying the board with me. Yeah, these are rolls. Kimmy does like these big rolls trying to play it up, but just practicing this stuff is so good, man. It makes you so much more comfortable and like less afraid. And that, it was me trying to show you how I actually end up doing it. I normally end up putting one foot on the floor and then rolling, because I find doing that pretty awkward.
You squat it down and put your hands on the floor.
Did I?
Yeah, you squat it down and put your hands on the floor and use that to roll over. That was your pivoting point.
I didn't even realize I did that.
And yeah, it was when Kimmy said that I realised I do put my hands on the floor. I looked through other footage and I seem to always do it.
I just pull like stack on a ramp or something or skateboard and don't realise it, a lot of the times, like, I will literally just fall onto my back.
Yeah, because you've practiced the falling.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. This stuff I'm doing here, where I was saying here, I fall more onto my side rather than roll. This is especially when you fall unexpectedly, so you don't have time to kind of wind up and do the roll, or you're going really fast and the board starts moving side to side. I feel like if you just start rolling, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, and I don't feel like I can put the foot on the floor like I normally do and then roll, because by then the other foot's and the board's gone crazy. So yeah, I tend to like fall onto my side and kind of slide, especially at a skate park. And then this thing here where I fell straight back is more for like when you're on the skate park and you fall because you're trying to go up a ramp or something and it doesn't work. Like I'm not good enough yet to where I like go up the side of the ramp, put the wheels over, come back. I just kind of go and then come back. But every now and then I'll mess up, or that scoop surface makes me feel like the board's just going to disappear from under me, and that's kind of how I'd end up doing it. Otherwise you're kind of up in the air. You're stuck kind of in the air for a second, and that's the worst. So if I realise it's going to happen, sometimes I'll even kick kind of my board out from underneath me and just slide back down the ramp. In this making progress part of the video, the main thing I look at is something they teach teachers, which is called the zone of proximal development. And this can be interpreted in a couple different ways, and people make different models, but the basic idea boils down to this. There's a Goldilocks zone, or a sweet spot, where you're learning at the best rate. And with children, they teach it for the idea that there's some things that they can learn themselves, and then some things you're going to have to help them learn, and then you're going to handball things from things that you help them learn to things they can do themselves as they get better. But you don't want to make the work too easy, or they'll get bored, and they're not progressing as fast as they could. If you make the work too hard, they fail too often, and you don't get enough like feedback on what you're doing correctly. And so for different things, this rate is different. Can I go next in this? Yeah. With skating, this is more injury. So you need to be falling off some of the time. Otherwise you're probably not pushing yourself as hard as you could. But if you're just constantly getting injured, you're actually going to spend too much time not doing it, as well as you're probably going to end up hating it. So there's these kind of different visualizations. And yes, if the learning's too easy, you get bored. So if you're not trying some trick and you can already ride around, I mean, unless you just like riding around. Yeah. And again, it's over and over again, this kind of sweet spot type idea. So this is my kind of mental model. I realize this is kind of what I do. Is it really? You'll love the paint art, by the way. I basically attempt whatever it is that I'm doing. So it's almost like a little mini test. And this was at the gym when I kind of came up with this idea. I'd always just set a new goal that I didn't think I could do, or that I've even previously failed. So often on the day of the lift, I would try the next weight up, and then if I got that, I just keep going until I failed it, or I would just go, okay, I could only just do that. I'm going to add 5 or 10 kilos. That's the next goal, and then I would work the muscle groups involved in isolation, so that makes the muscles like larger rather than necessarily stronger, and it also fixes little imbalances. But it's very bodybuildery type stuff. And then I would also work at 70 to 90%, usually around 80-85%, at that kind of weight range. So, if I'm doing, 80 kilos, you do a bunch of work at 60. And what this is going to do is it's going to make 70 and 80 kilos feel lighter when you get there. And this kind of strategy works for everything in some way. So with this, I just gun the trick. So the one I'm playing with at the moment is the whole pop shove it thing and the ollie. Ollie, it's more just a technique thing. So I'm able to gun it every single time. But with the pop shove it, there's definitely a fear of involved, because I've landed it before, but I've also smashed myself in the shin and tripped over and everything before. So you gun it and you try, and then I basically break the trick into parts and work at like acquiring the skill. There's a lot of great YouTube videos that you can watch for like every trick that will teach you the parts that you can break this into. So you don't have to think of it yourself, although you can. And then this part here, rather than like, you know, lifting heavy in the previous example, it's actually getting close to the danger of the trick. So if you're going up curved ramps and you're trying to do another trick and come down, spend a lot of time on those ramps and you're going to get more comfortable and less afraid, which will make your body less tense, which actually makes you less likely to get hurt. If it's a jumping trick, say it's a kickflip, just ollie all the time, or over things, or really high. Do tricks where you have to turn, so like front sides and that sort of thing, front side 180s. If it's fear it's the problem, like you don't feel like you're gonna have your board underneath you, find something that gives you the same fear but is easier, and then do that. And that is basically how I kind of conceptualize something. I always think of it like I make a little test sort of thing, or I just try the thing, and then I try to acquire particular skills and then just get better through exposure of something similar, of training wheels basically. So for here, the point, my next kind of point is social learning. So if you have someone else who knows how to skate, you're going to learn a lot faster, even if they're worse than you. Motivation, but it's also you just pick up little things from other people that you don't have to spend like a year figuring out yourself. Because most people have like a particular way they like to move. You'll notice it with the falling off thing. It would be very hard to teach that, because you just kind of have movement patterns and everything that makes sense to you, and you just need to get better at them. But when you see other people, you can sometimes just straight up copy, and you never would have thought of it. So I like to watch people who are better, because I skate with my brother, but I like to watch people who are better than either of us. It's kind of an ideal, at least compared to how good we are. So this was a video I watched that I found influential. I can't play the music, copyright and all that, but it's set to Joji Slow Dancing in the Dark. But the thing I got with this is how smooth the guy's board is, and also how much side-to-side motion. So you notice he really pivots the two trucks a lot. And so from this, I actually loosened both of my trucks quite a bit, and I'm now mostly used to it.
You actual madman! You got the best footage on concrete of the day.
Yeah.
MVP. Hey, Knuckles.